Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Planning Committee meeting on the 8th of November. Apologies for absence, Ed. Do we have any apologies?
There are no apologies, Chair.
Any declarations of interest? Councillor Beardsworth.
Thank you, Chair. I'm on Kingsthorpe Parish Council and I'm a representative on Kingsthorpe South, but I have no predetermination.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Minutes of the meeting held on the 4th of October. I believe these are still waiting to be signed off. Is that correct?
Yes, Chair, just through you. They're still waiting to be signed off. There's a couple of little just corrections I need to make on it, but they'll be brought back to the December's committee. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Chair's announcements, just that members of the public are permitted to film, broadcast and report on the meeting, subject to the efficient running of the meeting not being affected. Only those people who are registered to speak can speak, and please, no members of the public call out during the committee's discussions at any time. There are no planned fire drills, so if the alarm does go off, we need to exit the building by the front entrance and we will convene across the top of Guildhall Road. Okay, and please ensure any devices are switched off. Okay then. There are no other reports on item number 5. I believe item 5A has been withdrawn, is that correct?
That's right, Chair.
Yeah. So move on to application of determination. And the first one is the redevelopment of Bective Works. Sam, this is your report, so I'll hand over to you, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to make members aware, the presentation covers both items 7A and 7B, 7A being for the full planning permission for the redevelopment of the site for 97 dwellings, and the second item, 7B, covering the listed building works. So this is the application site edged in red. And this is the existing site layout plan. So the right-hand building, the sort of L shape, is the listed building, and then there's some existing buildings on the site, which is the grey area on the left-hand side inside the red boundary. This shows you the existing listed building elevation. So you've got the north elevation there facing onto Bective Road, and then the south elevation as well. Then moving on to the east elevation, which faces into the neighbouring properties, and then the existing west elevation. And this is the roof plan of the existing listed building. This is the proposed site layout plan. So there are 3 key areas that form part of the proposal. So you have the L-shaped apartment building running from the top left-hand corner, the right-hand corner dealing with the listed building, townhouses and apartments, and then the townhouses facing onto Yelvertoft Road to the south. This is the north elevation and south elevation of the proposed apartment building, and then turning to the west elevation and east elevation. And then these are the floor plans. So you can see there are some steps in the built form at the 3rd floor level, created at the side of the building, in the middle, and then on the south elevation. And then this is the listed building proposal. And then these are some internals showing how the roof lights work for access to daylight. And then the floor plans showing the ground floor and the Undercroft parking area. And then the 1st floor. And this is the elevation from Bective Road and Yelvertoft Road. There is a red line across the site. I'd just like to draw members to that. That is the existing student permission shown in the context of what's being proposed tonight. And then these are the townhouses. And then just some, you can skip to the next one. And then just some indicative elevational proposals from Yelvertoft Road facing onto the townhouses. And then one of the listed building in the edge of the apartment building. Just to show members the approved student accommodations plan, so you can see that the listed building would have remained in the top right corner, and then this is the block form for the accommodation for students. So there is a building to the rear of the listed building as well, and an extension of student accommodation block from Bective Road to Yelvertoft Road. And then this is what was approved for the plans. So again, you can see the building height that was approved for the student accommodation. Yelvertoft Road being the first image, which is a slightly different way of showing the plan. So tonight we've been looking at Bective Road first from the applicant's proposals. So you can see on the right-hand side of the top image, that is what was proposed to the rear of the listed building, and that is where the townhouses would be, and the rear elevation of the small arm of the apartment building on the left-hand side. And then these are just some images taken from the local area. I'll just let Sean skip through them just to make members aware. So the right-hand image there is the rear of the commercial units in the local centre. At the junction with Bective Road, Yelvertoft Road, and then this is the listed building in the front of Bective Road. Thank you, Chairman. The presentation of these applications are concluded. If I can just go over what the recommendation is. So there has been an objection received from the local lead flood authority officer since the time of writing report. They've raised a couple of concerns, one of which is the agreement of Anglian Water to the connection that's proposed, the type of surface water drainage strategy that's proposed, and they've asked for clarity over some of the markings on a plan. So we have had comments in from Anglian Water that haven't objected to the proposal or the connection, and for that reason I consider that that would be acceptable as proposed. In order to overcome the other objections relating to the type of surface water drainage strategy and the markings on the plan, I do recommend an additional condition is imposed requiring the submission of a surface water drainage strategy prior to the commencement of development. And the updated recommendations. So we are recommending approval of the full planning application as set out in the committee report, and that's subject to the amended conditions set out within the addendum paper and then the additional drainage condition. And then in respect of the listed building consent application, that also remains for approval as set out within the committee report and subject to the amended condition set out within the addendum paper. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. We've got one speaker on this, Councillor Hawes. So if you'd like to come and join us, Councillor Hawes, just say who you are, who you represent, and then you've got 3 minutes, and then just remain there and see if we've got any questions for you. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Cheryl Hawes for Kingsthorpe South. So this development is pretty much about 2 seconds away from my house. It's something I have to drive past pretty much every single day, and is a massive eyesore to Kingsthorpe. The residents of Kingsthorpe South weren't happy with the student flats that have been approved already. This, I feel, is a much better compromise for the area and for the people. Also, parking's not going to be an issue because all of the houses or apartments, they've all got parking. So that's not going to be an issue to Yelvertoft or Bective, which currently people moan about quite a lot. But yeah, I feel like this is going to be much better. The site at the moment is an eyesore. It's been set on fire actually quite a few times, even in this last year. So I think this proposed development is a nicer in keeping feel to the area, and it's going to make an improvement to the front area of Kingsthorpe. That's it.
Thank you very much. Just say yes if you've got any
That's
questions.
okay.
Any questions? Councillor Russell.
Good evening, Cheryl. Thank you for being here. My concern, more than anything, is the through flow of traffic from Bective Road onto Harbour Road, because it's only one direction, as far as I'm aware. People may try, that's turning left.
Yeah.
People may try and turn right, and that will just form the most dreadful traffic congestion.
So at the moment, you can go through, Bective is only one way. You can only go up the hill or come down the hill. That is it. But you've also got another turn off to the other side as well. And at the moment, there's a cut through. So on one of the plans, it's this end of it at the minute. There you can actually cut through, and a lot of people do. So even I do it as well. So round the back of it, you come down Yelvertoft Road, and you can cut through and come through Bective, and vice versa. You could, a lot of people, instead of going round onto the main road, they use the cut through, which is the car park, at the minute to get through to either side for wherever they need to get through.
But it's still going on to Harbour Road, isn't it?
So it is, all the traffic will go onto Harbour Road. Any proposed building that's there, all the traffic would flow through to Harbour Road. At the minute, there's plans for student accommodation, which they can build straight away if they wanted to. And I don't think there was many very car parking spaces, which would all spill out onto either side. And that traffic would, again, it would still be going onto Harbour Road, and that's already got planning permission. So this is a much better that the parking's being taken off either side, so it's not going to affect Bective or Yelvertoft residents that live either side of the road.
What's the bus service like there?
The bus service for Kingston, absolutely brilliant.
You're very lucky. Thank you.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
I agree with Cheryl because I live in Ruskin. And
Yeah,
I,
which is
I
just
turn
off
out
the
to
other
it
side,
every
isn't it?
day, and thank goodness for that box junction, because that box
Yeah,
junction
there
saves
is on the
you.
main road,
Yeah.
Box Junction, yeah.
Councillor Beardsworth.
Yes. Thank you. Cheryl, I just wanted to ask you about, you say you're not worried about car parking,
Yeah,
and yet there's still 31 premises that don't have parking under the Undercroft.
right.
Now, if you're building houses,
Yeah.
you know that one person doesn't live in a house.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, they do.
So you might have 2 or 3 cars in one property. Are
Yeah.
you still not concerned about the parking issues in that
So
street?
the park, so I've had complaints of residents already about
Yeah.
parking issues for either side of that road,
Yeah.
and they have suggested to me parking permits. That's one way you could go down that road for the residents that live there. However, I have said to the people that have approached me about parking permits that it's not ideal
Yeah.
at this current time. People's money, finances are really tight. They have to pay for parking permits, and it's not the route I wanted to go down, and still don't want to go down. So even when residents are approaching me for that, that's a no. The parking issue, like I said, we have got a massive, like a really good bus route. We're straight through. You can get straight out onto the main road, straight into town. You're a direct route to town, to the bus station, to the train station. You're very close to everything. We're quite lucky in Kingston where we live.
Yeah.
The student accommodation that was going to be proposed there didn't have hardly any parking, and that would have had to spill out on the road, and that is already approved. So the plan is so much better at the minute that it has got a lot of parking spaces already there. The remaining people, it would be the same as any house, wouldn't it?
Didn't they, the student accommodation were going to bus people?
They would bus people, but people have cars.
No, I
Students
know.
have cars.
But there was
so
going to be a prohibition on them having a car. That was what they were
it
told.
could be,
yeah.
but they just not going to tell anyone they have cars and park on the main road, aren't they?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think Sean wants to come in here with something about parking, or Sam, sorry.
Sorry, Councillor Beardsworth, can I just check what the 31 properties relates to? Because the proposal seeks to provide 97 spaces, which is 1 per unit for the residential properties.
We'll find it. It's 59.
There are spaces within the Undercroft that deal with...
The larger communal parking area for 90 cars, 59 of which we located in the Undercroft, underneath the apartment buildings. The main 30 will be located external in the area.
Yeah, so if I can just draw your attention to the plan. So what I'm referring to is the Undercroft parking is under the L-shaped building on the top left corner. The 31 spaces then extends from the side of the listed building where there's 5 spaces, and along the back of the townhouses there's an additional 26 spaces. So there is a full parking provision of 97 in total. There isn't a deficit.
Okay, so that's in presuming every house has one car.
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle.
Anything else?
Thank you. Okay, anyone to come back on Sam? You come back on the parking, then we'll come to questions for you. Any questions for Sam? Catherine.
Thank you. There's going to be quite a number of students living in this area. And who's going to be maintaining that property and handling any problems that arise with the
These aren't
students?
student flats.
No, so just to clarify, it's standard C3 residential accommodation. It's not for students, it's for standard residential properties.
Okay. So the university will be hiring or renting?
It's not a university
There's
proposal, it's
there's
not
no
student
students.
accommodation in any
The
form.
previous application, the consented application for student
Was for student accommodation. This is for standard C3 residential accommodation, so family homes or for general population, not for students.
That's better news. Thank you. I'm sorry, I was confused.
I think it was about 300 before.
Yeah, so the last consented scheme was 356 students.
Sally, then Cecile.
Right, thank you, Chair. Waste. This building was a factory, and now we're going to put in 97 residents. How are we going to deal with the waste situation, drainage, water, and the very fact next year I think we have to pick up food waste from every property, even if they're flats. So what provision have you got in there for food waste to be put out, and drainage water, surface water, and actually sewerage as well?
So in terms of the surface water, that was in the update that I provided to
That's it,
members,
yeah, that's
which is there's an additional condition recommended in light of the local lead flood authority objection. So there was a drainage strategy that was proposed by the applicants, but I have just received the objection in from the LLFA officer.
Okay.
So the additional condition would deal with the surface water drainage, so it requires the submission of a surface water drainage strategy prior to the commencement of the development. That's just to clarify some details from what the applicants provided previously, so it would be notwithstanding the details that have come in. There are also some conditions on there that relates to surface water verification to make sure that what is proposed and is accepted is actually what's implemented on the site, and that will deal with the surface water. In terms of waste, I'm not sure about the food waste arrangements. That's not something that I feel like planning can deal with at the moment. It might come in the future, but at the moment we're just dealing
with
with
lorries and things like that. That's what I'm thinking.
So what you have is a condition on there that deals with the delivery of and implementation of the refuse stores, which are included on the plan. So there is a refuse store on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
just here for the listed building, which deals with this part of it. These would have their own arrangement because they are townhouses. Same as here, you'd have a standard residential arrangement. The top left is a bin store as well for the apartment building.
Okay.
So that's where the bin stores are provided already within the site layout plan.
And sewerage.
Same as the conditions, that's the Anglian Water arrangement. So the Anglian Water have accepted that there is capacity within the existing drainage network to take this development, foul water drainage.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yes, because that is a proposal that has been revised from student accommodation to and to a family home or young, older or young who want to be in town with a bus connection and so on. And having heard one of the councillor for the local area, I think we can debate the minutiae and so on, but I always find this building is listed. It was a factory, it would be brought back to use, it would be good for the environment because you don't have to destroy the building, rebuild the building. So I think we should go with officer advice and accept the recommendations. That is my proposal.
Okay, right. Just before we go, any further questions before we go to that? Any comments? Anyone want a quick comment, James?
Yeah, I'd like to echo Cecile's words. I know the site well as well, and I think I was involved with the plans last time as well. So I'm really pleased to see that there's a scheme which looks like it's got local support as well, with the local councillor speaking tonight, and bringing back a sign to use, which is causing a lot of problems in the area at the moment. So I think I'd be happy to propose that we accept the officer's recommendation.
Was Cecile proposed?
Well, happy to second in that case.
Yeah. All those in favour? Hands up. That's unanimous. That's everybody's in favour of that. So thank you very much.
And then just to take the vote on the listed building application, please.
Then 7D, the listed building.
Can I make...
Yes, absolutely, Councillor.
I hate to rush things through, and I know everybody, but I think sometimes we need a little bit of discussion on things. Listed buildings, I'm really pleased that we are going to keep some of the building because we have destroyed so much in this town. When you think of the Emporium Arcade, when you think of Notre Dame you know, so many things that probably these young planning officers don't remember, but we do. And we really must try and keep some of our heritage going. And that was a well-known factory, and I think as long as it's protected, I think, and made to look as attractive as possible, I think that would be...
Alexander Ellis Anderson factory?
I'm not sure who it was who...
Lots of co-ops around the town.
Yes.
Barrow Shoe Factory.
Yeah, there was a lot of little shoe factories around the area.
It looks his sort of style, doesn't it?
Yes, but I just really want to protect the heritage that we've got, and I hope the developer will be sympathetic to that.
I agree with that aspect of it. Cecile?
Yes, I don't know if it's written, and forgive me if you do, but maybe we could ask the developer to have a sort of historic blue plaque. We have that in certain, for example, if you go to Brixworth, you have the historic plaque. So maybe have, as a developer, if in the building or outside the building, he could put a plaque to remember the first usage of the building. So it's nice for everybody, not just the people who live, and also for the people who live in. It's interesting to know what they can say. Yes, they did, yeah.
I don't think it's something that I can request by condition, but I'm happy to ask the applicant, who's nodding in the background there, that's probably quite happy to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so Cecile proposing 7B, James seconding, all those in favour? Yeah. Unanimous again, that's good then. Brilliant, so that's approved. So thank you very much. So moving to 7C then, which is Bank Cottage, 25 Drayton Park, Daventry. Just going to change over officers. I think I'll get that one last time. Okay then, 7C. Oliver, this is yours.
Thank you, Chair. So, good evening. This presentation will largely summarise the contents of the officer's report with regard to the proposed development at Bank Cottage, 25 Drayton Park, Daventry. A late representation from the local Highways Authority has been received. They've maintained their objection to the property having 2 points of vehicular access onto the highway. The application site comprises a detached 2-storey dwelling with living accommodation over 3 floors, a side extension that houses a swimming pool and a detached garage to the southwest of the dwelling. The property is situated within Drayton Park in Daventry, a residential area south of Drayton Reservoir and to the north of Daventry Town Centre. The application site is surrounded by residential properties and Drayton Park Road to the southeast. Access is provided via a shared drive with the dwelling to the northeast. The application seeks permission for alterations and extensions to the main property, which include the demolition of the swimming pool enclosure and the replacement with a side and rear extension, a raised rear patio, a 2-storey external front lift shaft and a front entrance canopy. The existing garage is proposed to be extended with a conservatory and converted to self-contained living accommodation. A new vehicular access and gates along the south-eastern boundary and the extended driveway area are also proposed. The application before the committee is described in the report and summarised in this presentation. Next slide. The summary of the proposed development has been split into separate parts to make each element clear, and these parts correspond to those numbered in the report. A single-storey side and rear extension is proposed on the north-eastern and north-western elevations of the main house, and that's shown on the slides. The extension will provide living accommodation along with a plant room with 2 externally mounted air source heat pumps on the north-eastern side elevation. The extension will be constructed with brick elevations under a mansard roof with UPVC frame windows and doors to match the existing property. A separate entrance door on the front elevation of the extension is also proposed with a porch canopy. A 2-storey external lift shaft is proposed on the south-eastern front elevation, along with a pitch roof canopy and a new front entrance, as shown on the drawings. And the garage is to be converted into a self-contained living accommodation with a conservatory extension. The rest of the garage footprint would remain unchanged, with a series of new windows and doors proposed. The conservatory would have glazed elevations with a UPVC frame to match the existing property. A new vehicular and pedestrian access is proposed along the south-eastern boundary and in a similar position to the existing pedestrian access. A single tree within the site and part of the existing boundary hedgerow would need to be removed to accommodate this access, and a new vehicular crossover would also be required. The existing access to the site would be retained, however it has been conditioned that this could be closed temporarily during the construction works. The other alterations include changing several of the existing openings on the main house and the removal of the front bay windows, a new rear patio and an extension to the driveway area into the southern part of the site. The existing gravel driveway is also to be changed to tarmac. The key issues arising from the application include design and materials, the impact on neighbouring amenity, impact on the character and appearance of the surrounding area and landscape, and the impact on highway safety. The design and appearance of the extension and alterations are considered to be in keeping with the host dwelling in terms of their form, scale and materials. The side and rear extension would not encroach significantly into the garden, and the plot is considered large enough to accommodate the additions. The changes to the design of the garage are also considered acceptable. There will be no increase in the height of this building, and the conservatory extension has a small footprint. The external changes would use matching materials, and the conservatory is considered to be a sympathetic and subservient addition. With regard to neighbouring amenity, concerns have been raised with overshadowing, loss of light, overlooking and the noise impact resulting from the plant room. It is considered that none of the newer altered openings would result in any harmful overlooking. Furthermore, given the distances to the neighbouring properties and the boundary treatment, the development would not result in any overshadowing, loss of light or overbearing. In accordance with the recommendation from the Environmental Health Officer, a noise assessment has been conditioned in order for the noise impact of the proposed air source heat pumps to be properly assessed before being brought into use. And these images show the street scene view along Drayton Park outside of the property. And as sufficient planting would be retained to the front of the dwelling, the visual impact of the extensions and alterations to the main property and garage would not harm the appearance of the street scene. Furthermore, the design of the new access gates and pillars is acceptable. The proposed development results in a minimal loss of vegetation at the application site. This includes a tree and part of the hedgerow along the south-eastern boundary to accommodate the new access, a portion of a conifer hedge and tree for the side extension, which is shown in the red dotted line, and a loss of small island bed of bushes to be replaced by an extended driveway. The removal of the vegetation would not significantly alter the leafy setting of this area of Drayton Park and would have no cumulative impact on the surrounding landscape. Planting would remain at the front, side and rear of the property, and the overall landscape character of the plot would not be significantly changed. The proposal therefore mostly accords with the relevant setting and landscape guidelines of the Drayton Park design statement and is considered to be compliant with other adopted policies in terms of its impact on the character and appearance of the surrounding area. And these images show the planted area that would be lost for the extended driveway, which is the photo on the left, and the existing parking area, which is the photo on the right. And despite the objection by the local highways authority to the property having two accesses, it is considered that as Drayton Park is a quiet residential estate with limited and slow traffic flows, and that the two access points would provide improved access for the applicant's vehicles to meet their specific needs, the development would not result in an unacceptable impact on highway safety. The proposed new gates will be remotely operated in accordance with the recommendation of the local highways authority, and the appropriate pedestrian visibility displays are included as part of the recommended conditions. To limit the impact the proposed works may have on the shared access, conditions requiring the new access to be completed prior to any construction works going ahead and for the existing access to be temporarily closed during the duration of the works have been recommended. It is concluded that the development is sympathetically designed, does not undermine the character of the local area and its landscape setting, does not result in an unacceptable impact on highway safety, and has no harm to neighbouring amenity. As such, it is acceptable in planning terms and should be approved. That ends the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. We've got two speakers on this, so I'll call Ken Yarrow first. Do you want to come join us at the table?
Can I ask Jonathan Collins go to
Yeah, absolutely, if you want that, yeah. So I'll call on Jonathan Collins then first. Just to let you know, Mr Collins, you have 3 minutes to speak. By the television, there should be some lights. Can you see?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Green is you're okay. Amber, 30 seconds. Red is your 3 minutes are up. Okay. Just say who you are and you represent.
So my name is Jonathan Collins from Stephen Docker Associates, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you.
This application is all about providing suitable accommodation for a young boy with complex needs. He has cerebral palsy, which means he has profound physical disabilities and impaired cognitive function. It's taken a long time to identify a property which has the potential to meet the applicant's needs, and various specialists have been involved, such as OTs and care consultants, and they've been consulted throughout the design process to ensure that the applicant's long-term needs are met. For example, the configuration and juxtapositioning of the rooms are designed to ensure appropriate space for wheelchair access, and so that the ceiling track hoist can be linked between rooms. We've worked closely with the planning officer to address the queries and concerns raised during the application process. We'd like to make specific reference to appearance, access, construction and noise. There have been some suggestions that the proposal is out of keeping with the surrounding properties. As highlighted in the committee report, this is not the case, and the proposals are in fact an enhancement of the existing pool building. Every effort has been made to ensure the designs are sympathetic to the existing building and there is no harm or loss of amenities to local residents. Access to the property is currently via a shared driveway with number 27. The intention is to retain the shared access, but also introduce a second entrance. The applicant has a large adaptive vehicle which requires space for turning and transfers. Furthermore, this will need parking for family members and visiting carers and therapists. The narrow roads around Drayton Park can be problematic for residents, so the additional space or the additional entrance will assist with manoeuvring vehicles at number 25 and reducing impact on neighbouring properties. During the construction phase of the adaptations, it is the intention to temporarily close off the shared drive entrance to limit disruption to the neighbours at number 27. We'll also be introducing a construction management plan to ensure the appointing contractor has clear processes and procedures to adhere to throughout the adaptations. There have been some concerns raised regarding the potential noise from the proposed air source heat pumps, which are to be sited on the external wall of the plant room. We'll be appointing a low carbon energy consultant to evaluate and design a system which takes into consideration all environmental aspects, including noise. Also, a noise assessment will be undertaken and presented to the planning department for final conditional approval. As you'll appreciate, this is not a speculative development. It is intended to be a lifetime home for the applicant and his family. The initial concerns raised regarding the application have been addressed in a practical and considerate manner to ensure that the proposals present minimal impact to local residents. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm happy to answer any queries.
Okay, thank you. Got any questions for the committee? Councillor Beers, you've got a question for Mr Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Obviously, having read the report, I could understand that this was to look after somebody that was handicapped or an elderly person. I don't know who it was, but this then will enable them to stay in their home for their whole life and be looked after in their own environment, which is what we want to do these days, is homes for life. And I can't see a problem with it at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you very much. I'll call on Mr. Yarrow who wants to come and address the committee. Just keep an eye on the little red light because the microphone is cut out after a time, so you might have to refresh it halfway through. But
There we go. I'm Ken Yarrow. I'm actually the parent of the child and also the instigator of the planning permission. I don't have anything much to add except thank you for the officer's report. I agree with it and I hope you'll approve it.
okay, just say yes if you've got any questions for you. Any questions, Mr. Yarrow? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions to Oliver on the application? No, thank you.
It's more of a general question around the highways objection that was first stated around So it mentions about a second entry. What's the reason for them being behind that, being against that in principle? Just out of interest.
So is that the reason behind their objection?
Yeah. More of a general question actually as to why they would have an objection to have two accesses from the highway.
So they have guidance within their policy which says that they don't like having two accesses. It's to do with the impact on highway safety. They see it as creating, I think, tension and an issue. Having been to the site, and I know Drayton Park well, it is a quiet road. It's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit around there. It has limited vehicular flow. So introducing this extra access will benefit the applicant, their ability to enter and exit in a forward gear, and I can't see it resulting in any unacceptable highways impact.
Thank you.
Chairman, that's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yes, the garage is going to be ancillary, so that has been put in such a way that the house can never be divided.
That's correct, yeah. It's been conditioned
So,
that would
yes,
be
I thought
as an ancillary.
yeah. So
Go for it first, Sally.
I think I have no objection. So, but I don't want to propose. Let somebody propose.
It's a very simple one. Shame the light hasn't gone on. Oliver, has the highways officer visited the site?
They have recently, yes.
Smashing.
So the most recent addendum was following their dated comments.
Chair, I was going to say, should we accept the application?
Okay, so we've got a proposal from Councillor Beardsworth, seconded by Councillor Russell. All those in favour? Against? Abstain?
I'm sorry.
Okay. That's item 7C. No NPH applications, there's no urgent business. Therefore, I will close the committee meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Thank you.
And questions for Sean outside the meeting. So,